Hi everyone, welcome back. I saw this the other day, someone posted, and I want to share with you because I feel like sometimes this can be the source of panic and it can be quite hard to calm down from here. Someone wrote, what do you tell your partner, the person you love, when you're always on your phone, your computer, searching and posting and researching? My partner gets really mad. I tell him, I try and help him understand that I'm trying to make it work so that we can do this together. We don't have to go to jobs anymore. But he doesn't care, has no faith in me, and I just want to give up. Sorry to tell this to somebody. That's a hard one. And it's hard not because there is no solution. I think it's hard because there's a sense of like, am I running out of time? For some people, they are, whether we admit it or not, we start a new endeavor and then we feel like we have unlimited time to do it. As all things, right? We feel that we live like we'll live forever. Sometimes we spend like we'll always have money. We treat our kids like we'll always have them at home. There's something about us that starts with the unlimited and then start to freak out when that gets cut short, especially when the people who give us permission, whether they say it or not, finally say, actually, you know what, I don't like this, so I'm going to start not giving you permission to do it. And it can lead to a bit of panic. It can lead to a bit of unrest. And I know every marriage, every partnership, it's different. Every family is different. And there's no solution that applies to everybody. Because how you relate to your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife, your partner, your children, how you relate to these people will differ based on those relationships. But something that I found helpful in my journey, when I felt like I've now been given a clock because someone in my life who I care about is losing patience. And I think this is something that we all can do. And that is to have the humility to actually accept that maybe I suck. Because that's also very possible. And I know it's hard to do because at times it can feel like I must get it right and keep a perfect streak. And I see this tendency across the board with resellers because there's this obsession with 100% feedback, no returns, top rated, everything with like 0.00, no defects. This need for perfection. But the thing is this, that perfection doesn't last. It doesn't scale either. There is no perfect business. If Disneyland had 5 out of 5 stars across 5 million reviews, you'd be a bit suspicious. So you have to figure out, how do I start off perfect because it means something to me to prove out this concept that I care so much about, to move towards shift, be it graciously or suddenly, towards I'm just a real business and I have flaws, but I know how to manage it. Okay, so that's happening. It has to happen. Otherwise, you can't grow. Otherwise, you live in constant fear of rejection, of just negativity in general, really, of bad feelings. In business, there are bad days and there are good days. In business, there are days where you will make a loss and there are days where you will make a ridiculous profit. And as long as at the end of a financial period, you find yourselves ahead, preferably than the previous financial period, you're doing great. Sometimes you go through longer drought-like seasons where even this financial year you don't do as well as last financial year, but hey, you're still in business and you have to find a perspective to embrace the real that you're in so that you continue to grow the business from where you are to a better where you might be. So what does being willing to accept that I might suck at something look like? Simply put, it's acknowledging that I don't choose to suck, right? It's acknowledging that when I do suck, figuring out why that happened without the bullshit. So by that I mean, if here's a simple one. If I start selling one category and I do really well, and I take that model, how much I spend, how much I list, how much work I put in, and I take that and apply to a completely different category. The fact that I copy and pasted to see if it worked and I failed, that's reason number one already. I didn't provide enough thought to work out how the approach should have been tailored to the next category. I assumed they were all the same. And because of that, I sucked the second time round. And helping people understand, hey, but the first one I did really well and that's still going strong. So now that I have sucked and I've done well, I need to work out why. So that the third time I do something, it's now tailored. I've taken a lesson out of it. Willing to admit that I didn't do a good job allows me to grow. Otherwise, it becomes really hard for people to support you. It becomes really hard for people to trust you. I think that's the thing, right? It's having faith in an outcome that hasn't yet happened, especially when you've shown that you haven't learned from the time when you didn't actually do a good job. And so I've been through this with Jenny. Actually, we've actually started two businesses, finance brokering. How many years would it be now? About 10 years ago. Did that for about 7 years, and then this reselling thing for about 3. We sold that business, came to this one, and I know very clearly the difference between a conversation where I admit that I'm wrong and I admit that I need to learn, and I can detail how my learning can be applied, versus those conversations where I'm trying to buy more time for myself. Going back to the initial thing about unlimited time, I've now put on the clock, I'm trying to buy more time, and I'm just selling her on hope after hope after hope after hope. And I can tell, like, Jenny doesn't believe me, but she can see that I'm freaking out, and she then goes, we're not going to get anywhere while he's freaking out. Maybe I'll just give him more time. But that doesn't help, does it? It's very much a short-term thing. And so if you're in a relationship where you feel like you've been put on a clock, pitching hope is not the answer. It's actually sitting down and admitting where you've gone wrong. It's sitting down and recognizing where you've maybe not seen something. It's recognizing a blind spot. Here's a blind spot that happened recently. I remember, I'll give you 2 examples. I remember getting into cards. I wanted to, buy like a, I don't know what you call, like the crate, and then unbox them all, figure out which ones were worth grading and whatnot. And after unboxing about, I think like 2,000 or 3,000 cards, it got to a point where I just couldn't be bothered opening them anymore, but they were still there and I had to go through them. And I realized I didn't like the process. It was a boring process. My eyes were glazing over. There wasn't a variety there to really keep me engaged, but I committed to that expense and I admitted that. But at the start, I was like, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to, the ratios are pretty set. Like, I know what I'm doing. And Jenny was like, nah, I think you'll get bored. And she was right. And I had to admit that she was right. And then figure out how to like make all that money back, which eventually we did. And the other time, I remember there was another one where I was selling about, I think like 10K of one particular toy every month. And Jenny started selling baby clothes and she was getting pretty close in numbers. And she was like, I think I'm doing as good as you, but I feel like I'm not quite sure what to do with the store. And I looked at her and I went, yeah, but your items are also 5 times more expensive. So really you're moving 5 times less. I'm moving 5 times more quantity than you are, which means that you will have less data to work with than I do. And she realized, wow, I've been comparing on the dollars, but not the actual items sold. So I don't actually have enough data points to figure out if I need to stock more of this range versus that range. Blind spots happen all the time because we're trying our best to make something work. And oftentimes it's very human to chase the measure that makes us feel good. Because we don't know if we're going to be good or not. So we'll take anything, is it? Like if you can't make money, heck, you'll focus on the fact that you can clear space. If let's say you're not making money and you got a messy workplace, you might focus on the fact that, hey, at least your staff are happy. We'll find something. Human beings are like that. We try and find something that helps us, feel like we're doing something right. And so that's a bit ranty. I guess we'll bring you back to the fact that if you feel like you're under pressure because the person you love, the person you care about, isn't giving you the time to do what you need to do, start by being willing to admit that, hey, I suck. But this makes me happy. And that has to count for something. And if there is some way that I can make us happy without me stopping doing this, it will mean a lot to me. That's simply put. And yeah, I don't know if it will work or not with whoever it is that you're talking to. And it does break my heart that sometimes that when you pour yourself out that way and be vulnerable, the people you care about, who say they care about you, start to show that maybe they don't. And that can happen as well. And if that's what you are experiencing or have experienced, I'm sorry. But know that what you do is meaningful and that it has value, and that if you keep working at it, learning, making changes, improving, you'll get there. I believe that. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.